My name's Cameron Frad. I am wife to Matt Frad, who's awesome, hence the Pints of Aquinas banner behind me. I am a daughter of God. I have 4 wonderful, beautiful kids. I am so sick and tired of pretending and ready to be real. That's my thing. Okay. So if you came here to like have someone that has it all together and tell you the perfect how to be you, yeah, that's not going to be the talk you're going to get here. I'm very imperfect. Yes. I'm very imperfect. And sometimes I say things wrong, and then other times I just don't pick up on things. So for example, I was at a friend's house earlier today, and my 10-year-old daughter asked me, "Mommy, what's a diet?" And I thought, oh gosh, she's 10 years old. Why is she thinking about diets? So I said, "Oh, honey, don't worry about it. You don't need to know what a diet is." She's like, "Mom, are you on a diet?" And I'm like, no, mommy doesn't eat certain things because I'm allergic to them and my stomach can't handle them. But no, you don't have to worry about diets, honey. Don't worry about it. Diets for people that are older and that are overweight and they need diets. Well, the woman's house I was at is hearing me say this. And she's like, Cameron, and for people that need to be healthier. And I realized, oh, insert foot in mouth. And oh, praise you, Jesus. I wasn't thinking, and she has her daughter on a diet to help her be healthier and have a more active lifestyle. So I say things wrong. Okay. So this talk is not going to be perfect. It's going to be raw and flawed because I am the one giving it. But one thing I love doing is talking to women, okay? This is very different for me to talk to a camera. I realize that you see me as talking to you, but when I'm giving this talk, I'm actually talking to a camera. And as comfortable as I am talking to a microphone, because I actually do that a lot on the podcast, the camera thing, it's new for me. So I may be a little awkward. We're just going to try to get past it together, okay? Okay, what do I want to talk to y'all ladies about today? So Leah Darrow is so beautiful, and I am so glad that she's doing this conference. She is just wonderful and amazing, and I love her theme. I love it. I absolutely love the theme, and I love just let her be light. And I was thinking and praying, and I love this. And I love empowering women and explaining to them how to be women. Not really telling them how to be a woman because I'm not really good at it. To be honest, I grew up a tomboy and I thought it was an insult when I was a little kid and I got called a girl, even though obviously I'm a girl. I took it as an insult. I thought it was like a bad thing, you know? Like I took it as a compliment when someone would say, "Cameron, you throw the ball like a boy." I'm like, thank you very much. So I wasn't always like really pro woman. I was blessed when I was 19 years old to do net ministries. And so basically I went to another country. I was in Canada and I was traveling around the country with 12 other people, men and women, and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And it was such a gift and I loved it. But at net training, they had men's and women's sessions. And I remember sitting in, it was actually, we were in Michigan and there was about, I don't know, just over 100 people at this training, maybe 150 people. And all the guys were outside playing flag football and having a blast and laughing and just really enjoying themselves. And us girls were sitting around talking about our feelings. And I remember looking out the window and being like, why can't I be out there? I much rather be out the window playing and having fun with the guys. Like, this is boring. I don't want to hear about these girls and all their dramas. And I didn't value being a woman myself, let alone affirm other women. And that's something the Lord has done a huge shift in my heart because now I really love hearing women's hearts. So that whole year, so it was a whole year, we'd have women's session once a week and we get together. So on my team, there were 6 of us girls. So there was 12 people in total, 6 girls, and we get together and we share our hearts. And almost every single women's session, I would tell my supervisor or my team leader, I'm like, "Oh, look at the time. Shouldn't we get going? We should go. We got to meet up with the guys. I don't need to share. It's okay. Ladies, thank you for sharing. That was lovely. Let's go." And I just wanted to skip over it because, I don't know. I didn't like sharing my heart. I think because I wasn't a feely girl and I didn't like thinking about my feelings and where I was at. I rather suck it up, princess, move on. And life was easier that way. So why would I want to talk and share my feelings and heavy things that could possibly crush someone else? Yeah, I like to ignore it for both myself and my heart, but definitely for other women. I struggled with trusting women and I didn't really like a lot of ladies. And I had the most beautiful, amazing team. These ladies loved me. They loved me so much. At one point, my supervisor had me, she had me write down all these lies I believed about myself. And I said to her, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't actually believe lies about myself. These are true things. And she was being lovingly and kind and patient. She's like, Cameron, the Lord has called you here by name. He decided for you to be on this team right now in this section of Canada, traveling and showing young women their beauty and their dignity. And I'm like, no, that's not true. You made a mistake. I don't belong here. I don't fit in. And I don't belong. These other girls are holier than me. They're smarter than me. They're just better than me. Like, I don't belong here. And I just really desperately wanted to run away. And now, hindsight, 20 years later, I know why I wanted to run away. Because I was afraid to be seen. I was afraid to be heard. I was afraid that if I took away all the lies, the truth underneath would be worse than the lies. So I believed the lie that I wasn't enough. I believed the lie that I was selfish, that I was a effing biatch, that my family would be better off without me, that I was too loud and too much and not holy enough, not feminine enough. All the holy cards I saw were prim and proper and perfect, and girls like this that were just quiet and meek and humble. And these were things I was not. I was loud and rough and tough, and I was too much. And so I remember her challenging me to write these lies, and I fought over it for a while. And then she had me use the Bible to combat truths with those lies, because the lie and the truth can't coexist. Just like the light and the dark can't coexist, right? And so I did that, and I prayed a lot. And I remember one time I was praying, and I was really praying, like that the Lord would show me who I was. And I went lie against lie against lie. And this one girl came into my we were in a host home. She came into the room I was in, and I just like went off on her and yelled at her and kind of ripped her a new one. And she did nothing wrong. And she just looked at me and she smiled. She's like, okay, Cameron, you need time. Don't worry. And she walked away. And I came out afterwards and I got myself together and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry that I just exploded at you. And she's like, it's all good. You're fighting Satan. You're not fighting me. You're fighting Satan. And I love you and I'm praying for you. Who is this woman? Okay, all the women on my team were like that. And they were so beautiful and so patient and so, patient with me. They wanted me to shine, okay? They gave me permission to not just be with them and see me as an equal and a peer, even though they all were smarter than me and holier than me. One of them is actually now a nun in Italy. So if any of you are familiar with the Sisters of Life, Sister Mary Gabriel, her sister was on my net team, and she is now a nun. I got to figure out her name now. I don't know her name, but I know her name. Her name's Annie, but I don't know her religious name. So she's a nun in Italy now. She's beautiful and amazing and holy. But just because she's a nun in Italy doesn't mean she's holier than me. I think she is holier than me, but not because she's a nun. But if I'm losing my train of thought here. I am called to be the best Cameron I can be, and I can't be Leah. Okay. If I try to be Leah, I will fail. I will completely fail. I cannot be Jackie Francois. You cannot be me. You will fail at being me because the Lord didn't create you to be me. He created you to be you. And when I was doing ministry and I was with these women, I learned that they love me for me. And when I took away all the lies, it's like, yeah, you know what? I may be a bit more than her. I may be a bit more intense or a bit more rough around the edges, but I found that the Lord would use me to minister to women that they couldn't reach. So the girl in the corner that was rolling her eyes the entire time, who had scars all up and down her arm, I was able to minister to her in a way that my teammates were not. The girl who didn't belong, that was in the group with all boys, even though we assigned girls groups and boys group, I could minister to her because I too was that outcast. I too was that one that didn't belong. And I think that oftentimes in groups of women, none of us really belong. Like, or at least we all have something that like, okay, I don't belong because of this or because of that. And so when we talk about like, let there be light, I think that the main one holding us back is us. Women are nasty. Women can be ugly and mean and two-faced and stab the other in the back. They can be catty. The reason I didn't like girls growing up is because I experienced those things. I was guilty of those things as well. And I don't know, I just didn't trust my heart to those ladies. And I think like the show Mean Girls, I think like there's a reason why we kind of have our guard up and we're like, oh, I don't know if I should trust someone or not. And I think girls are afraid of letting someone else outshine them. So we're pulling the person down. So you see someone and it's like, and I remember this. Oh my goodness, Leah, I don't even know if you know the story. So I was working at Catholic Answers and I got a phone call and I was at the front desk. I was just like the receptionist. Tim Staples jokes, or he used to give me a hard time that I was the highest paid receptionist they ever had because really they had hired my husband. But Matt didn't have his, he wasn't able to work in the States yet. They were working on his green card. So I was able to work there while he stayed home with the kids. And I remember someone calling in and this woman was just talking about how immodest this girl that, I don't know if it was a gala or what it was, but Leah had a dress that was like one shoulder was showing and the other shoulder was not. And she was saying how immodest and all this stuff. And does she not know she's leading people to sin? And I just was like, excuse you. You don't know this woman. You don't know that I see her in the chapel all the time praying. I'm sorry if you have an issue with seeing her shoulder. There was no cleavage. It was a very modest dress. There was no cleavage, but you could see a shoulder. Ta-da, look at my sexy shoulder. Sorry if that offends you. I know some people can't handle beautiful shoulders. Not making fun of this woman that called. I kind of am, but I'm not meaning to. She is a precious daughter of God, and she also has dignity and worth, and I don't mean to tear her apart or rip her down. But my point is, she was all worked up that Leah wasn't holy enough. And how dare Catholic Answers have a girl on stage in this evening gown looking dress where she should be walking the runway. Okay, funny thing, like a couple years prior, she was walking the runway, okay? And I don't know, I kind of put the woman in her place. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. But I just think that it's easier to tear down that person. That woman on the phone probably had something in her that was like, I'm not as beautiful as her. My husband's going to look at her and think she's gorgeous and reject me. That's not Leah's intention at all. But instead of the woman looking at that and seeing like, okay, why? Why is there something in me that I'm getting jealous when I see Leah stand up on that stage? Why is that? And saying, oh, it's because my husband has a pornography addiction and he is up to his neck in this addiction, and I feel unwanted, unloved, unappreciated, unseen, and I see my husband seeing her. I am threatened. Lord, help me. Heal this. What is this, Jesus? Heal this. This wound that I have, help me, please, Jesus. That's what should happen in that situation. But Satan gets in and is like, you don't let that girl steal your husband's eye. Do you notice he looked at her as she walked on stage? He is lusting after her. It's her fault. She's the enemy. You better call Catholic Answers and you give them a piece of your mind. Oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to tear this girl down and then I won't feel so bad. So that's what happens. And I'm not meaning to pick on this woman, okay? I am using her in my example, but I have been this woman on the phone 1,000 times. You've been the woman on the phone 1,000 times. Okay, maybe only 100 times. Okay, maybe you're a bit better than me. Maybe it's only been 100 for you. It's been at least 1,000 for me. Okay, the temptation and the comparison is real, right? It's there. When I was in that situation where I was looking at all these lies in my life, when I tore them all back and I prayed through them, I realized that I really struggled with. I struggled with self-worth. I remember the same supervisor. She was beautiful and amazing. God bless you, Lynn. She told me one day, she said, Cameron, when people look at me, they often say that I'm homely, or I get teased about my appearance, and they assume I have a bad self-esteem. And I was like, oh, Lynn, I'm so sorry. That is a shame. You poor thing. And she said to me, Kimberly, when people look at you, they think you have a great self-esteem. And I was like, thanks. That is so nice. Thank you so much for saying that. Because you think I'm great. I really appreciate that. And she looked at me and she saw through me. She saw through my mask. She saw through my guards, and she saw me. And she said, Cameron, I don't think I've ever met anyone with a self-esteem as you. Ouch. Ouch. That really, really hurt. And that whole year, the Lord built on that. And this woman just loved me. She loved me, and she showed me who I was. She helped me fight every single lie on my list. And when we got done with it, we had team prayer every day. And I remember this one team prayer. A lot of times it was praise and worship. Sometimes it was the rosary. But this one team prayer, whoever was leading the prayer asked us all to go away and pray individually and to draw ourselves and to come back and share with the group. So, of course, most of the girls are very artsy, and they drew these beautiful pictures. And, one girl just drew a flower. It may have even been a lily. And she talked about, how this is who the Lord sees her. She's blossoming and coming into her own. And it was beautiful. And some of the guys drew themselves in armor as Christ's warriors. And hindsight, I kind of wish I had drawn that, like a Joan of Arc. She's my woman, fierceness. I'm not afraid. I was born for this. But I drew a little girl, like a young girl, and just a big fat question mark on her shirt, like a big old question mark. And then on the shoulders, I wrote God's girl. That was it. That's all I had. And I was like, okay, I'm God's girl. I may have not had the best self-esteem. I may have struggled for years with self-doubt and self-hatred and anger and hatred and anger towards a lot of other people. And I may have been that woman to tear down other women. I definitely was that woman. And I am so sorry for that woman that I was. It was because of my own insecurities and my own weaknesses that I lashed out at other women, that I made fun of them, that I sorry, that's my kids calling. So if it rings one more time, I'm going to have to pause this and get it, but we'll see. I lost my train of thought. I'm going to go on to read this Bible verse, and then I'm going to go back to what I was saying before. Okay. So, Genesis 1. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formed void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light was good. The light is good. And God separated the light from the darkness. We are living in a world of darkness. I think most groups of women, darkness is the center. Satan reigns in the darkness. He owns the darkness. Christ owns the light. When we bring things out into the light, Christ renews it and makes it good and beautiful. And that's my challenge to you ladies, okay? I don't know. Let her be light. And the more I've been thinking about it and praying about it, I'm like, let her be light. Let your sister in Christ be light. Affirm her. Tell her she is good and wonderfully made and amazing, and build her up. Don't tear her down. The only way that we can be light is to let the others around us shine. Okay? If we are so afraid of blossoming or speaking out or just being ourselves, even if you are a bigger, louder personality and you don't fit the mold, that's okay. Like, the Lord's calling you to be you. And the world is starved of the feminine genius. He is starved of you. And you have a different, unique gift to give than I do, than Leah does, than Sarah does, than Sister Miriam does. We all have different, beautiful, unique gifts. And we can't grow in holiness by trying to be the other, right? So if Sister Miriam sat around all day beating herself up because she wasn't me, the world is missing out on Sister Miriam, which is sad and horrible. And the world needs Sister Miriam, but she needs to be her, right? You need to be you, and I need to be me. And we need to not only give each other permission to blossom and grow, we need to affirm one another, okay? We need to not be threatened. So next time you're doing something and you think, oh, that bitch, come on, honestly, do you think that sometimes? I don't know what the girl did or what she said or how she looked, but say, Lord, what is that? Why am I tearing down this sister in Christ? Because that guy looked at her and not me. Don't let that guy's focus ruin your relationship with that girl, right? Like, we need to be loving and kind, even to girls that aren't. I run into this problem even on my among the Lilies group. So I have a Facebook private group page. It's 6,000 women, and that's a lot of women. It's way too many for me. But most of them they're all amazing and beautiful and kind. But I think sometimes one of them shares something and then others go into attack. And it's ugly, and I don't like it, and I wish it didn't exist. But even when we're in safe groups of women, I have this beautiful international Marco Polo group I have with women, and they're just gorgeous. And they're from all different walks of life and countries, and they just share their hearts so beautifully and vulnerably. And recently, one of them was sharing, she was just affirming the other women in the group. And it was beautiful the way she affirmed them all. And then another woman shared how she doesn't belong in the group and she thinks she should leave it. She's like, you guys are all way holier than me. And I'm just trying to keep my head above water and run the farm. And I don't even miss going to mass because I'm worried that we're not going to make enough money from selling these cattle, that we won't be able to pay the bills. And and it's like, I'm not holy enough, therefore I should leave this group. And the girl who originally got on to affirm everyone shared and said, I know what you mean, because I was actually going to delete myself from this group. And this is a group of women. We've been traveling, we've been sharing our hearts via Marco Polo for a couple of years now. But our relationships go way back, 10 years. But we've been a part of this group for over a year, sharing our hearts with one another. And she's like, I thought to myself, this group would be better off without me because I'm not always in it. I'm not always sharing what's going on, and I just don't have enough to share that the other women share. And I don't homeschool. My kids go to a normal school, and so I don't belong. And then another woman got on and it's like, that's so funny. I thought all of y'all belonged, and I didn't belong because I'm older than y'all. Someone else, same thing, because I'm too young to be a part of this group. And it's just like Satan wants to separate and destroy. And when he does that, he wins. He brings things into the darkness. As he separates, he holds it all down into the darkness. And we live in a world that, C.S. Lewis, that says the greatest thing the devil ever convinced the world is that he doesn't exist. But he does. And he's separating and dividing us. He's saying, you are just this little thing. Okay. You are only your sexuality. You are only your color. You are only your country of origin. You are only this, and you are only this colored hair, whatever it is. He wants to separate and destroy, and we can't let him. We as ladies are the beauty of God. Okay, we radiate His goodness and His beauty, and yes, you may not be as physically beautiful as whoever. Name who you want. Nor am I. That's okay. We all have flaws. We all aren't perfect. In fact, in this lighting, I'm pretty sure you can see all my white hair. Check this out. My hair's down today because a couple of years ago, I got crazy sick and almost died. Praise you, Jesus. I survived. He had bigger plans for me, but half the hair on my head fell out. And all that came back was white. And I even have white eyebrows in here. And so I have a lot of white hair. So I wear it down so I don't look as old. So I have friends that are much older than me, and I have double or triple the white hair that they do. That's okay. This is me. This is who God created me to be, And I think that by us putting on a mask or pretending that we're something else, only showing our Instagram worthy photos of ourselves, we are actually hurting our sisters in Christ, and we're not letting her be the light. So be the light yourself. Let Christ shine in and through you, in your imperfections, in your failings, in your weakness, in your wounds. Wounds are massive. Christ can shine. His light can shine massively through your wounds. I am a broken, flawed, sinful woman. And I put my foot in my mouth all the time. I say stupid things. But in some of my biggest mistakes, in some of my biggest failings, Christ uses it and he shines. He can grow roses out of your shit and manure. Sorry, manure. Leah, are we allowed to curse? I don't know. I forgot to ask if this was supposed to be squeaky clean. Sorry. Feel free to edit that. My bad. But seriously, we need, in order to let our light shine and let her light shine, we need to be Christ to one another. We need to be loving and patient. And so ladies, please help me build each other up. Let's affirm one another. This conference is full of amazing, beautiful women. I don't know if you saw that thumbnail thingy with all those beautiful ladies on the front. Super intimidating. They're gorgeous. They are, behold, the feminine genius, okay? Beautiful. But we should see their beauty and say, yes, and join alongside of them and say, look out, Satan. Here comes the feminine genius. We're going to rock this. Old, grumpy, hairy legs are trembling in his boots because of this conference going on right now. Okay? Ladies, affirm the other ladies in your life. When you say stupid things, go apologize and ask for forgiveness because we all say stupid things. When someone has hurt you, don't hold a grudge. Go to her and say, hey, when you said this, it really hurt my feelings. I don't know if you know this, but this is how I took what you said to me. Ouch, that hurts, but it is good and it'll help you grow in holiness. It'll help that person that you talk to grow in holiness. Ladies, you are amazing and you are beautiful. Please be you, okay? Don't focus on holiness as something out there or for this person or that person. The Lord is calling you to be more you today, right now, this weekend. These other ladies, they have lots of wisdom and lots of good stuff to give you, but you can't be them. You need to be you, okay? So be her light. Be her light. Be her joy, okay? I think Leah probably already by this point gave a talk on the Samaritan woman. And what did Jesus say? Give me a drink. That's what we need to say to Jesus. He said that if she had known who was asking, that she would be asking him for a drink. And the drink he would give would not leave her thirsty. She wouldn't need to come back all the time for more and more. It would fill her. It would quench her thirst. Jesus is the answer. He is calling. He wants to fill you. He loves you. He desires you. Please, my sister in Christ, go to him. He loves you. You are beautiful.